Welcome to Andy's Garage. I'm Andy Phillips. Today we're going to be changing out the rotors, front rotors, on a Chevy Trailblazer. This would also be the same for the GMC Envoy. This is kind of an emergency job. That's the reason why I'm doing it out here at night with lights on. But let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first thing we need to do is remove the caliper so we can get to the rotor. To do that, you're going to need to remove two 17mm bolts here on the back so we can pull that off. You'll need something to hold that steady. Sometimes just holding it with your hand. If not, just get a wrench. There we go. It's coming off. Okay, we're going to gently remove the rotor. Be careful of the brake line. What I do is just set it right back here. Okay, next let's remove the brake pads. And then we can also remove little sliders. Okay, next we're going to remove the caliper bracket, and to do so there's two 18mm bolts in the back holding it on there, so we'll have to undo those, so that'll slide off and then we can slide the rotor off. These things can be very tight, so if you got a breaker bar, huge plus. I had to use a breaker bar to kind of break the initial bond so that way the ratchet could do its job. But you have this one here and then one on top that we need to take off next. Okay, this is the top one. There we go. You see it here? It's starting to loosen already. Okay. It slides right off. Make sure you keep the bracket and the bolts in a secure place so you don't lose those. Next you have these two stud locks on here holding it on. You just turn those and they'll just come right up, threads. Get both of them off. Try to salvage them. They go back on the way they're supposed to. Not damaging these things. Okay, we went ahead and took both of those off. Let's slide the rotor off. There we go. Comes right off. You can see here, especially on this side here, rotors are pretty scratched up on here. I don't know if you can tell, but they're pretty bad, so definitely need it being replaced. There we go. To match that, there we go. So now we'll go ahead and we'll put the caliper bracket back on, and we'll put the stud locks on, and then we can put the brakes back on and get this one set. We'll move on to the other side. To put these little ring locks on, just pretty much just put them on. Just slide them in. Put that all the way back. Lock it in there. There we go. That's tight. Go ahead and get this all put on. Tighten that. And then we will go ahead and tighten it. Make sure you tighten it. Make sure you tighten it to the right torque. Go ahead and put the brakes in, put the caliper back in, and just pretty much reassemble everything the way you took it off. And that's it. The new rotors are on there. Everything is tight. We have the new brakes on there as well. And now we'll go ahead and put the tire back on, and we're good to go with that. Okay, now we're on to the rear. We're going to replace those rotors and as well. So need to go ahead and remove the two bolts here in the back that hold the caliper in. I've already removed the caliper, but those are two 14 millimeters. You're going to remove those, slide the caliper off, get that out of the way. Then you can remove the brake pads, and then you'll need an 18 millimeter to remove the caliper bracket so we can get to the rotor. Okay, now one thing I want to bring to your attention. If you come back here, you've got a very tight squeeze between this bolt and the bar right here. So you're going to need a very low profile socket or whatever you're going to use to get back in there. I'd recommend using a breaker bar, so in that case you will need the socket on there. So just make sure it's a low profile that can fit in there, otherwise you're going to have a hard time. Slide it off gently. There we go. And then what you have here is your this is your emergency brake setup right here. That can also be adjusted. Okay, here's the new rotor. You can see it looks a lot better. And we'll just remove. See that? Go ahead and put that on there. There we go. So now we'll go ahead and we'll put the caliper bracket on, the caliper and the brake pads, and then move on to the other one, and we'll be done. Okay, and then basically we're going to go ahead and put the two 18 millimeters back in to hold the caliper bracket, and then we will then move on to putting the caliper and brakes back on, and then that will pretty much wrap this up. So we'll follow the same procedure that we did to remove them. There we go. Move on down now to the bottom one. Okay, now we're going to tighten these here on the caliper. These are the 14 millimeters. Go ahead and get them on there. And then we are done. Just put the wheel back on and we're finished. So that pretty much wraps it up. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. As always, please remember to always bleed your brake lines anytime you do any work to the brake area. I hope this video helped you out. Please send any questions, any comments. As always, please like this video, subscribe to this channel. We'll see you next time.